Hello, everybody. I thought today we could go over the February 19th West Tier Supervisors Meeting. I attended this meeting and I recorded it. It's kind of crappy, but I think you'll be able to hear it enough as it is. I'm going to put the agenda up here just so you can see it, and we're going to jump into it. We're going to kind of skip some of this, submission of reports. I'm going to go ahead and start the audio. And where we are right now, I believe they're just kind of going over the police chief's report and the reports from the various fire departments and engineers' reports and whatnot. Whenever they do these, they don't tell you anything about them. You have to go online later and you can read all about them.
Number three's report. Are there any questions, or anyone for number three have any comments? Attached is the West Tier EMS report. I don't see Mr. Hughes here today.
So they're on the EMS report.
Adoption of resolution to 2025-2, the Iowa Clan Lots Revision Number 1 Sewer Planning Module. A resolution approving the DEP sewage facilities planning module for the Eiler Plan of Lots Revision Number 1, which is attached. Mr. Shoup reviewed the PA Department of Environmental Protection Planning Module documents and found the planning module to be in proper order. Mr. Shoup therefore recommended that it be approved by the township. Mr. Shoup, anything to add?
Yes, this is a planning module associated with the subdivision approved by the board last year. So we're just now finally getting the sewage planning documents back to the township, and they are in position to be approved.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adopt resolution 2025-2 approving the PA/DEP sewage facilities planning module for the Island Plan Lots Revision?
I'll make that motion. Second.
Motion by Mr. Hollabaugh, second by Mr. Wiggin, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Adoption of resolution 2025-3, which is the fee schedule, which amends the fees charged by the township as per the attached schedule of fees. Are there any questions? Do I have a motion to adopt resolution 2025-3, amending the fees charged by the township as per the attached schedule of fees?
I have a question before. I looked over those little changes. No, and I also gave an email from Mr. Shook, that he highlights all the changes, and those are $10 changes. There are actually a couple decreases as well. I'll make that motion. Second.
Motion by Mr. Hollabaugh, second by Mr. Fleming, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
So hard to read.
Adoption of resolution number 2025-4, which is the Public Works Union Agreement. A resolution of the Board of Supervisors of the Township of West Tier, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, ratifying the negotiated agreement by and between West Tier Township and the Service Employees International Local 668 Public Works Union effective January 1, 2025 through December 31st, 2027.
Just scroll through some of this.
Authorizing the execution of said agreement as presented. The draft is attached. Are there any questions? Do I have a motion to adopt resolution 2025-4, ratifying the negotiated agreement between the two parties?
I'll make that motion. I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Hollabaugh, second by Mr. Smolin, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Mr. Mayor, will you take a vote?
Sure. Mr. Smolin?
Yes.
Mr. Wiggin?
No.
Mr. Fleming? Yes. Mr. Hollabaugh?
Yes.
Mrs. Jordan?
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion carries 4-1.
If you haven't been to one of these meetings before, there's a lot of 4-to-1s.
Hiring of a public works laborers. With the recent resignation of 2 public works laborers and the pending retirement of the third, the township had advertised for and interviewed applicants to fill the positions. After interviews and successful background investigations, it is the recommendation of the Public Works Foreman and the Township Manager that Thomas Saccone, thank you, Eric Fawcett, and Joseph Lawrence be appointed public works laborers with the township. Are there any questions regarding the hiring of those laborers? Do I have a motion to hire those three as full-time employees of Western Township and appoint as a public works laborers effective March 1, 2025, contingent upon successful drug and physical screenings?
I'll make that motion. I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Hollibaugh, second by Mr. Smolin, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Authorization for the,
Hi, Mom.
oh, I'm sorry, congratulations, I'm sorry. Here's one, raise your hands, everyone can see who you are. There we go. Welcome to West Haven, thank you. Authorization for the total municipal asbestos abatement, Mr. Shook?
Asbestos abatement.
Yes, Madam Chairwoman, I'll try to make this brief. The asbestos abatement contractor that the board awarded the abatement to is in the process of removing the asbestos from the old municipal building and.
Pay attention to this. They spend a lot of time in this meeting on this.
Other areas where asbestos is, he suspected that this material that he found was asbestos-containing material. This contractor's been in the business for 40 years, so after 40 years, you'll learn a thing or two. So we contacted our asbestos survey company, Mid-Atlantic Environmentals, who did the survey of the building, just to confirm that the material was indeed, and it is. It did come back as asbestos material, and turns out that the material covers approximately 2,800 square feet of the building. So now that we know it's there, obviously it needs to be abated. So the board, the current contractor did give a quote to remove this new material, and that quote is $19,355. So the board essentially has two options, however it so chooses to proceed. It can authorize the current contractor who's there to do this work for that amount, or not to exceed that amount, or we can go back and do the whole sealed bid process again, but that would involve a new survey. It would involve, a length of time for bids to be submitted. Then the board would have to award that bid, then the contractor, whoever chosen, would then have to mobilize, et cetera, et cetera. So, so that process would take multiple months at minimum. One other aspect of this, as you're all aware, the township did receive a grant through Allegheny County for the asbestos removal, demolition, and, the asbestos removal and demolition of the old building, as well as renovations to the dog shelter, central renovation. So, there is that aspect, and I believe Mr. Mayor may have spoken with the county today, whereas if this scope changed, does that potentially jeopardize that grant funding? And I don't know, did you wanna?
Sure, I spoke with the director of the GEDTF program today, and what she recommended doing is just pulling the asbestos out, changing the scope. We'll have a contract between us and the county by the end of next week. And she said, just speak with our advisor and pull that portion out, pull the asbestos out altogether. That way, it'll just adjust the scope and give more money toward the dog shelter. That's what their advice is.
So,
What we approve that now?
can you explain a little bit, are we gonna use some of the money they had allocated for the grant for the dog shelter?
Yeah. Yes, because
How they did more money to the dog shelter?
it's even more. It's still $320,000 grant that we got. How that's divided up, like originally it was
So we're
supposed to
gonna
be
get less money
50-50.
to the dog shelter.
No, you'll get more for the dog shelter, but it's still gonna be $320,000 total. And instead of more of that money going toward the asbestos abatement or demolition, less will go toward that, more will go to the dog shelter.
So we'll pay out of pocket.
Yes.
Okay.
So we have to.
If we're paying out of pocket, then I would suggest wouldn't you suggest we get another bid, or do you guys think that's a fair bid?
Can I just ask, did the surveyors miss this?
Yeah, are they responsible, all the ones that initially surveyed it?
So this material is actually part of the roof that was discovered, and when the surveyor, the survey company, when he came out and we looked at this, he said in all the time he's done this, he's never seen asbestos in roofing material. Now,
What did we pay them for that?
I would have to look back at the quote, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head.
Are they responsible then for missing that?
No, I mean, they did an extensive search of the building, I mean, they had 3 employees here, and they did samples of every room, every hallway, every, pretty much everywhere that asbestos is commonly found, and, that didn't turn up.
Okay, so can we amend the grant to include the additional cost for the $19,000?
I think that's what Mr. Mayor is saying,
You know,
that,
if you go that route, you have to do what Mr. Shook said, you have to reopen everything to bids.
right,
You have to start all over again.
right, the seal bid process.
Otherwise,
Hard to
like,
keep.
you're not gonna, the county isn't gonna allow you, they're not gonna authorize that
So what's the
expenditure.
initial price they gave us to remove asbestos from the building?
8,000, or 8,000?
The original, yeah, 8,200.
And now
And
they're
the
like,
total is
19,000 on top of that.
An additional 19 on top of the 8.
And the reason why, and this is the asbestos abatement contractor said that the reason why frankly it's so high is because he has to take off about 4 layers of roofing material on top of this to get to it. So there's basically the labor cost to get down to where this is. You can't do it from the bottom up, or otherwise the ceiling roof would collapse.
There's 4 roofs on there, 4 layers.
70+ year old building, there's a lot on that roof.
Well, I don't want the taxpayers to have to pay it. I would suggest writing an amendment to the GEDTF grant. Are they willing to accept the bids that we had?
Yes and no. They're willing to accept the bids as long as it follows the proper bidding procedure, which it did. But you really can't start something, if you start something before you sign the contract, technically they'll void that. So we really need to take out asbestos, period, because they already started the asbestos work.
Which is why I brought that up the last one.
Yeah, but still, I mean, it's, like I said, no matter what the board decides to do, you have a $320,000 grant. If it's $320,000 to a dog shelter or 160, it's still, at the end of the day, it's still the same thing.
But you're recommending you don't use any of the grant money, you recommend it
Right.
out of the general fund.
Yeah, so what the board really needs to answer today, this is what Mr. Shook is alluding to. You need to decide whether or not you want to put this back out to bid, or if you're willing to accept the $19,000 proposal that the asbestos abatement, contractor gave us.
Plus the 8,000.
Yes. Oh, that's already been awarded though.
But they're not gonna pay for it. GEDTF.
No, but that's what I'm saying, like if you, whether the township pays out of its pocket or pays out of the grant, it's still gonna be the same thing, because instead of paying the $8,200, I'm just using the $8,200 right now. If you pay the $8,200 out of the grant,
We'd have that less money.
you'd have that much money that you'd have to pay the $8,200 for the dog shelter. So it's a wash at the end of the day. My recommendation as far as the grant is just amend the scope, that's easy. I can do that, I spoke with the county today, we're on the same page,
We don't want to risk losing the grant and not meeting the deadlines.
right? We're okay there.
We have the money already in the budget to. We have enough in the budget to cover the
Let me put it this way, the board budgeted that before the board even knew that we received the grant. So we, no matter what happened, whether we got the grant or did not get the grant, the board was planning on going through that process.
Is the grant gonna pay for the rest of the demolition?
It could, because the demolition hasn't started yet. But again, if like we tell me when that scope, there's more than enough with the dog shelter, with the construction and everything else we talked about, the utilities, to meet that. Mr. Rob, do you wanna opine?
I would like to give my 2 cents, Mr. Mayor, thank you. So when this was originally presented to me, the first question I asked is, I think what a lot of you were thinking was, is awarding just this additional scope of professional services in the form of asbestos abatement. Is that gonna run afoul of the county grant guidelines or requirements? Because what I didn't wanna do, obviously, was have the township risk $320,000 over $19,000. And so this has obviously fairly recently come to a head. I spoke to Mr. Shook and Mr. Mayor. And, you know, it wasn't until just for the meeting, I think, when Mr. Mayor found out that, you know, well, I think the short answer is it would have to be bid because that grant, those grant requirements do require bidding for all this type of work. And because this is a professional service, that the state does not require bidding under the township bidding laws, and the township charter
All right.
does not require bidding for professional services.
So what's happening is, I don't know if I'm going to turn that down a little. What's happening is we contracted somebody to come in and give us an estimate of how much it would take to abate all the asbestos in the dog shelter and the municipal building before demo. They quoted us. Sounds like they don't exactly know the number, but they're calling it $8,200, so we'll go with that. That's a great price, better than expected by a lot, and they moved forward with it. Contractor got on site and found more asbestos in the roof that wasn't initially quoted for. So instead of $8,200, it's going to cost $30,000, which is, you know, I don't know. It's not a ton of money, really, but so they're trying to figure out what to do. They're trying to figure out if they just let the existing contractor that's on site right now just pay them an extra $20,000 or whatever it is and just get it over with, or does this need to go back and rebid? The entire demo costs a lot more.
So, our estimate was, I spoke with Mr. Shoup, and we, based off of past demolitions, past asbestos abatements, we estimated that the cost of that building to demolish, abate the asbestos and demolish that building would be about $160,000.
There you go, 160 total.
Church Street was what, 29?
Yeah, close to it all told.
Yeah, and it's tiny. It's not a municipal building, it's a small little house. So that's what we based it off of, square footage and things like that. To everybody's surprise, it came in extremely low, the cost of demolition and asbestos.
What was the bill?
About the same amount as mother.
Almost 37,000
Yeah,
for both.
the tiny little house. So we were surprised, which is good. I mean, that means we don't have to pay more money, but it also gave us a little bit of a issue because now we have to amend that scope for the grant program. So, but that's a good problem to have, you know, as opposed to like having to spend $160,000 there and having $160 for a dog shelter. Now we have potentially $320 for a dog shelter if we totally took the asbestos abatement and demo out of the equation.
That's a lot for a dog shelter.
So we just need to make a motion to spend the additional 19, or not to exceed.
Right, I think the motion would be something along the lines of a motion to approve additional asbestos abatement services in an amount, with the current contract in an amount not to exceed, whatever that number
What was
is.
the number?
So they're talking about taking a vote right now on who's going to do this work. I didn't think they could do that. The taxpayers are supposed to have, well, let me pull it up. In the West Deer Charter, Section C 1041, they're voting. Let's hear it.
I'll second it. So we have a motion to not to exceed $19,355 for the additional payment removal.
Using the existing current contractors on site, right?
We're paying for it out of taxpayer.
Yeah, so we don't have to wait a couple months.
Just leave us more freedom than they want.
They're making a decision without hearing you. I'm not saying it's a bad idea.
Opposed?
It might be the best idea, to be honest.
Mr. Smallman?
I'm just saying, I think it's against the charter.
Mr. Fleming?
I'll show you that in a second here. Let's
Mr.
listen.
Orloff? Yes. Mrs. Jordan?
Yes.
I'm sure the motion carries 4-1.
4-1.
Authorization for West Deer Athletic Club land development.
All right, let's pause. Let's pause. I'm going to pull something up here for you. So, in the town charter, section C 1041, citizens' right to be heard. The board shall provide reasonable opportunity for interested residents and taxpayers of the township to address the board on matters of general or special concern. This opportunity may be afforded to public either at the regular monthly board meeting, which is where we're at right now, or at a special meeting set for this purpose. And as a side note, it says here it doesn't explicitly require public comment to take place before the board votes on items. The timing of public comments appear to be at the board's discretion. Okay. But did they do this? I'm not sure that they did. And you're going to see later on. You're going to see later on in this meeting. It's very confusing what just happened. It's very, very confusing. And it's unfortunate because they may have made the right decision here. We have a guy on site doing the demo. It's going to be 30 grand instead of 10 grand for the asbestos abatement. Maybe that is the right decision, but nobody got to give input on it from the township, the people, the community of West Deer. So, I don't know. Anyway, athletic club land development.
Construction of an athletic facility. The applicant is John Hollabaugh. The location is 2150 Saxonburg Boulevard. Parcel 1510-M is in Mary-25. The zoning district is C2 highway commercial, and the request is to construct an athletic facility. The planning commission voted to recommend approval of the West Deer Athletic Club land development contingent upon satisfying all the comments in Scott Ship Engineering letter dated 1/16/25. Add 13 trees to the site to satisfy township code requirement. Update architectural facades along, if I'm saying that correctly, 100% of the front of the building and 50% of retention pond side of the building to comply with requirements of code section 210-59E. Obtain signed letters from adjoining neighbors stating they do not want screening along their property lines with the proposed building. Are there any questions regarding the West Deer Athletic Club land development?
Mr. Shoup, I saw the letters from the neighbors and there were all the other line items of this.
They weren't.
Were you given my recommendations and concerns?
I did see concern about access to the site, I think was one of them. And then,
Access and turning radius in the front of the building.
yes.
I apologize, we didn't get the plans until after the planning commission meeting. The hydrant that's there currently on that lot, is that going to remain?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
And are we gonna have access to it via the parking lot or that access?
From the parking lot, you will, and along the left side of the building, maybe the south side, yes, you do have pretty good access. You probably could potentially get a smaller vehicle in the north, along the north side, but you're gonna be driving on grass over there.
Does it help there's a fire department right across the street?
That's obviously the way it is.
And is that enough?
Let's take a look.
One concern was the parking lot space sizes. Was that addressed? Are they made bigger?
They're talking about this piece of land right here, I believe.
The spaces we go, either 9 by 20, 9 by 20,
And there's enough?
and there's 55 of them.
So here's Westier Volunteer Fire Department number 2, just to get you guys oriented.
Do you have any other questions? Motion to approve the Western Athletic Club land development conditioned upon the successful completion of the recommendations made by the planning commission and the township.
Josh just voiced his concern that
Motion by Mr. Small and second by Mr. Fleming.
he's going to decline it. Josh will. Josh Weil.
Mr. Wiggum,
Yeah.
Mr. Fleming,
Yes.
Mr. Hollenbach, Mr. Smolin, Mrs. Jordan.
Yes.
Let me show the motion carries 3-1 with 1 abstention.
Yeah. Josh was concerned
Use of the municipal
that
property, Western Dog Shelter.
the fire departments won't have access back there, or very good access back there,
Mr. Hollenbach, you want to talk about this?
during wet weather, rainy weather,
You had spoken with Mr.
if there's some need, an emergency that happens out there.
Yes.
I was gonna recommend that we table that for time, just because we just got the maps, some of the property and the.
Okay, they're tabling the dog shelter discussion,
Could maybe move the dog shelter. I think that's.
which honestly, good,
Take a better look at the maps, so we can talk.
because the scope of that project just changed because of that vote that they had.
When getting the maps out, I think it would be best to have more of a level of staff and maybe involving a supervisor or two, but before we come back and the full board with, maybe some more solid ideas of where this thing could be sited.
Do you have a plan with the elevations on it, like from the new building, of this lot?
I'll give you, this one has this building, the whole 50 acres back here, the salt storage and,
This?
no, that's, Josh, I'll give you this one here.
Oh, I got you, okay. Thanks. Okay, is anyone opposed to tabling this?
Or we could just put it on the agenda next month if we have more information.
Give us some more time to look at.
Here's another look at that athletic club.
Discussion or action?
Yeah, and it's right where we said it would be. There's Saxonburg here, Grubbs Road
Going to the A-Loan?
swings that it's coming to an end over here, and it's just that one big lot of land. So they'll put a parking lot over here and athletic fields behind.
Any announcements? I don't think you have any announcements.
Make sense?
Public comment on non-agenda matters of general township concern. The board will
Public
have
comment
comment on
time.
non-agenda-related items of general
This is where it
township
happens.
concern on which
This is where the good stuff in the meeting happens.
statement matters, and limit your comment to 3 minutes, please.
Vicki Austin, Hemlock Street. At one of the previous month's meetings, Mr. Fleming and the fire departments agreed to meet. I just wondered if that meeting had taken place and if there was any feedback from it. Thank you.
It did take place, and, there's no resolution to it as of yet.
Hi, Robert Wazorek, I live at 3560 Huntertown Road. And back in October, we had discussions regarding 3562 Huntertown Road, William Breyer's house. I was wondering if there was anything going on, because it's 4 months now since that meeting, but this spring will be 4 years since that house has been in a condition.
So at the last meeting, we decided not to condemn it. They were supposed to come to us with a
Right.
do the work. Has that happened yet?
Mr.
Yes, they're in communication with me again. I can't get into, for legal reasons, I can't get into a lot of that detail, but yes, they're in contact with me.
So there's progress being made.
Yes.
My name's Mike McCary. I'm a property owner at 6 Bourbon Road. And, I'm in a bit of a dilemma down there.
Could you spell your last name for me, please?
McCary, V as in Victor, I-C-C-A-R-I.
Thank you.
I've been tied up for about a year and a half down there. When I first bought that property, the first thing I did was come to the township and ask them about what I needed to do to proceed with the property. I told them what I wanted to do and what property I was gonna buy. At that time, Mr. Payne was the code guy. I asked him what I needed to do. He asked me if I was gonna do any construction on the building, any outside additions. I said, no, I'm not. I said, anything I'm gonna do is demolish the porch. He gave me the okay to proceed. He says, as long as you're working inside, you're okay. I did. I proceeded. This was during COVID, when COVID first came around. During the process of time, it took a year and a half or so work we did in the place. Mr. Payne walked through there at least 3 times. I have witnesses that walked through there with him. I hired all reputable contractors to work with myself. Every contractor that I had work with me was at least 40 years in business. I got the electrical inspected. I got the plumbing inspected by the county. All this was approved. And now I'm in a standstill because the township wants me to go in and reopen all those walls and get all that stuff re-inspected again. They're asking me to go in there with a net architect, with an engineer. It's gonna cost me $30,000 just for the engineer, plus the damage he's gonna do, plus the reconstruction. I'm looking at like $45,000. I really think that's so unfair, because you guys kinda like, it felt like the rules were changed on me halfway through this thing. It was okay, they gave me, when I was done, I went to the township again, I said, I'm all done, is it okay for me to rent? They said, okay. I had tenants in the property, I was forced to evict the tenants. Look, all I'm looking for here is a little relief from all these inspections. They were inspected.
Electrical inspection?
I do.
Can I just jump in?
Sure.
This matter has been in litigation. I've been in discussions with Mr. Vicari's attorney and asked the board not to engage any further or offer any further comments on this matter. Mr. Vicari is well aware of what needed to be done, what needs to be done. And we've discussed that with his, and the reasons why, and the reasons revolve around safety of the people who are living there.
Look, I'm willing to make my building safe.
Sir, I can't speak with you. You're represented by counsel, so
No,
we
I'm not
can't
present.
have this conversation.
Okay, let me.
Well, you can listen to him.
I'm no longer my counsel. I have new
He's allowed to
counsel
speak.
involved with
If you
it.
have new counsel, then that's who we'll speak with.
You can't shut him down.
Okay.
It's his time to speak.
Guess there's not much I can do.
You don't have to respond to it. Look at him, dude. I don't like it. I don't know all the history there,
Schuster Road. I wanted you to pass.
but it seems like there's something going on.
To the road department about the work that they did in the past ice storm we had. I think the roads were handled very well. I drove from another location to a couple of municipalities, and ours were by far the best done. So you can tell them that they're doing a good job.
There's a lot of
with what
complaints
they
about
have.
roads, and I don't think they're fair either, so we appreciate that.
Another thing is I have on Schuster Road at the bottom, coming down to the stop sign, when they paved that, they were getting to the bottom of the intersection, they ran out of asphalt. The paver created a dip in there, which was allowed to be left in there, and now it's becoming unraveled. The township won't be able to patch that with cold patch. It's gonna need to be addressed. Mr. Shoup can maybe look at that and see what's gonna need to be done. The same problem happened on Benjamin Street in the dip there. It came unraveled and they had to go back and address that. So I think that may need to be done. And is there something we can do to communicate with our water company? Everybody rides through all those dips that they leave. Most of them are in the township, or on the state and county roads. But there's a few on the township roads. One's on Kaufman Road that has gotten bad, and now it's starting to encroach out into the travel lane. And is there something we can do to force them to fix this a little better? We do a good job on our roads, paving them, keeping them in good shape, and then they come and dig holes and throw some coal patch in there, and that's where they are until we come by and pave it the next 5-year, program.
I think this is where he's talking about.
Thank you.
Right at the end of Schuster. Right at that intersection with Kaufman.
Before we continue, while you're making notifications, can we put a call into PennDOT for Oak Road? Where it's starting to slide over the hill at the top.
Nicole Zealand, 42 Glasgow. I was wondering when the new zoning ordinance will be uploaded to eCode 360.
They have it. It's, we actually just communicated with them this week because we sent it to them back in September. And it's still, if you go on the website, it's under that new laws tab. We've asked them when they're gonna take out the old one, and we're waiting for that response.
Okay, so it's on the platform now?
Yes, it is. And it's also on the it's also on the website too. The new ordinance is on the, planning and zoning, page on the website. There's a link right there too. Yeah.
I was also wondering
This
if
is
you would
eCode
be able to
360.
live stream township meetings to improve accessibility to residents. There are many other townships nearby who do this, a few of them being McCandless and Etna. The Allegheny County Health Board also does this as well, and they allow residents to submit questions and comments ahead of time. I believe this would be a great way to increase engagement and connection in our community, and could also be a great opportunity to involve high school students in local government. For example, if we get the AV Club to help set up the streaming capabilities. Thank you.
Okay. Time out. This is the reason I came to this meeting, actually. I didn't know she was going to say what she said. I planned on saying something similar, and I do later on in this meeting. And it's why I recorded. Why in the world, in today's technology is cheap, it's easy to stream. Why aren't they getting these meetings out to everybody in the public? Not everybody can get to a meeting. Not everybody can get to a meeting. That's called transparency. And if they're not allowing it, if they're not allowing that video stream, maybe there's some technical reason for it. But I want you to hear their response.
Just make a comment for everybody. We made the decision, all of our meetings, at least for now.
That's Bev Jordan.
Now, all the transcripts are online, so you can hear every and unfortunately we say, but everything is word for word on there.
All the transcripts are online.
So just to add to that, that's not loaded until after we approve the meeting, the minutes of the meeting. Can we put that on for a topic of discussion next month?
Time out again. This is what a transcript looks like from our meetings, right? So if you can't attend the meeting, and this is the January meeting that they have now uploaded, instead of being able to watch a video of it and listen to it and see people's facial expressions and hear their tenor, get an idea of everything that's going on in the room, they essentially boil it down to, a transcript, which is essentially a play of the meeting. Nobody is going to read this. And it's just crazy. And the point that I make later on in the meeting to Bev, to Miss Jordan, is that not everybody can read. Not everybody can read. Not everybody has a car to get out to the meetings. A lot of people are working and can't make it to the meetings. We have people with disabilities that can't make it to the meetings, or if they went, why? And also, In this meeting room behind us, right behind where I'm standing in the very back of the room, there is a camera built into the back wall of the meeting room. Why are we having this discussion, and why isn't it just being done? Look at that. Do you see that lady's just throwing her arms up in the air like, what are we talking about this for?
I said I'm fine with the transcripts, put it on the live feed, live stream.
That was hard to hear. Bev said, I'm fine with the transcripts.
Can we put it on the agenda to next month?
There you go. There you go, Josh. Put it on the agenda. Force them to have the conversation.
We could do that if we can, yeah.
Miss Jordan, once again, she's fine with the transcripts. I'll put that back up so we can look at it.
We can talk about it. Yeah, it's all right. Do I have a motion to adjourn at, oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. Bob McCon, 936 Copper Creek Trail. A few things. I would echo what the previous speaker had to say about
Boom.
streaming these meetings. It seems the common sense, progressive thing to do these days when you see so many other municipalities and councils and so forth doing that for their constituents who can't get here to read it or hear it post or whatever.
That's exactly right.
I don't think
That is exactly right.
makes sense. Couple other things. The various reports that are approved during the meeting, the EMS, police, fire, public works, and so forth, are those available to the public?
No.
Is there a reason for that?
That's not true.
None of those reports.
Here's the police chief report.
The reports are on there, you mean they're financial or they're other reports?
The police chief reports, public works, engineers, planning, zoning, and code enforcement, Westyear.
Oh, they're in the agenda online.
Yes, they're in the agenda.
It says they're available for inspection, they're available up here. It's just it's the financial reports that are disclosed.
Okay, but all these other reports
Yeah.
are available to the public,
Yes.
online or?
Well, most of them, Mr. McKenna, if you look at in the agenda, they're actually in here.
Okay,
So,
online.
That's true.
Yes, so if you go through the agenda, you'll see them, they'll be right in there.
Okay, and all the actual reports that are being approved are online.
Yeah, I'm struggling to
Okay,
find it,
appreciate
but
that.
yeah, you can
I
see
go up and
each
down 910 a few times a week. It's probably many
company's
people
report,
do.
the police chief's report.
During the day especially, I've noticed these tandem dump trucks that
There
are
they go.
just really flying up and down the roads, chief, so I don't know if it's something that you've been aware of. I'm sorry?
We'll address it.
Thank you, appreciate that. And just as another matter,
Let me just pause it real quick. This is what these reports look like. And this is what's disclosed to the township. The township wants to get into the bank accounts of the fire departments, which was talked about 2 meetings ago, probably both in December and January, if you want to go look and read the transcript. But they're private companies. Now, that being said, they're nonprofits, and you can go on the IRS website. I mean, newsflash, I hope this isn't a surprise to anybody. You can go on their website and see exactly how much money is going in, exactly how much money is going out. Each department separately. You can see how much interest income is being generated in bank accounts. But what Nader wants is to know more and more and more about
Somebody
what's
bids a
actual,
job
where those funds are
based
being
on
invested.
Another person's report, and doesn't do their due diligence.
I don't think he's
what-
entitled to
what
that.
you said were 4 layers of shingles or roofing, to understand better what their scope of work would be.
This guy's talking
And
asbestos
you
again.
say it's grant money, it's gonna be covered
The public
by
doesn't understand what just
municipal
happened.
money or whatever. At the end of the day, it's money being spent that I don't think any of you should, or we as taxpayers should be.
This guy's
responsible for.
misunderstanding what happened.
Sounds to me like this.
But that's not his fault.
Contractor just
It happened so
did
fast.
something.
You all witnessed
Should
it
in some
right
fashion
here on this
be
stream,
held accountable. It's
from
not
beginning to
something I
end,
think
from
we, the
being
taxpayers,
notified,
or that grant should be used for.
being notified of the problem
Thank
with the asbestos, to voting on it. You just watched it.
I'll be 1 minute.
Oh, here we go. This is me.
Hi, Steve Brennan on Bakerstown, Comerville Road. I want to also echo that we should be live streaming these meetings, just for transparency. You know, I ask my neighbors what's going on. They don't know, you know, and unless they're walking in this room, and some people can't. And as for the transcripts, I get it, you know, but not everybody can read, and they're not going to have somebody read them a 20-page transcript or however long it is. I imagine it's longer than that.
Way longer.
Yeah, why not be open and transparent and give accessibility to what's going on in our town? That's all. Thank you.
Ross Thompsonville Road. Just to kind of touch base on some of the other things. Curious to see if there's a way to provide some clarity as far as like the bidding process. So say for example, like the demolition, whenever it got bid, or any project, like if something gets uncovered after the fact that a project starts and then it creates the need to adjust the pricing on it, to me, like that's perceived as, instead of the contractor or the business or whatever, taking the financial risk of committing in legal ways to say, hey, we're going to do this job for $20,000, $30,000, whatever the price may be, instead of them taking that risk, and then now if there's an unexpected change, wouldn't that be essentially the taxpayers in blindly taking a financial risk? In reference to, if I remember correctly, it was Deller Professional Services, John Deller, who did or is gonna be doing the demolition work. I remember, he used to have a car detailing business in the 90s, out in Hampton, and I know whenever he transitioned into doing demolition work,
Again, confusion about what just happened in the meeting with the asbestos.
obviously a problem. So I'm just thinking in reference to like why would it be, why would the taxpayer, the local residents, be at risk of having to pay pay for the mistake of a bid? You know,
All right.
the bid should have been.
Let me explain, because nobody knows what's going on. But here's what just happened. Here's what he's asking about. He's saying, why should the taxpayer have to pay an extra $20,000 for asbestos abatement? And the truth is that we would have had to pay that anyway, because the asbestos is there. It would have been abated, and we would have paid for it whether it happened, whether we were notified of it 6 months ago or notified of it on the 19th of February. Either way, it has to go, and we have to pay it, right? It's unfortunate that that whoever did the walkthrough didn't catch it, so we just got caught by surprise. But we got caught by surprise on something that either way we would have had to pay. But I don't want to beat a dead horse, but no, people just don't understand it. People don't understand what happened, and the supervisors didn't give the public enough time to think about what was happening. So when you're talking about transparency and you're talking about why don't they want to live stream these meetings, it's because if they did and everybody knew what was going on, they would be held more accountable. And instead of just being able to wave your magic wand and they fix the asbestos problem because they just amongst themselves, figured out a way that they wanted to do it. Instead of doing that, I mean, they would have had to wait for public comment in March, in the March meeting, unless they do a special meeting. And then they would vote on it in March, probably. So, you want to know why a transcript is better for Miss Jordan? And the answer is because nobody reads transcripts. That's why. That's why. So, okay, let's finish this up. The last thing I'm going to end with, and I wish I had my camera on, but after the meeting had adjourned, Bev Jordan stood up and said, "Hey, by the way, we used to live stream. We used to do it." And she said, hardly anybody watched. Yeah, I know. That's government. Hardly anybody watched this meeting. But it's still important, right? Like, there's a whole bunch of handicap spots in front of that building, in front of that new municipal building that we have. Not many people use them. Should we get rid of them? Should we get rid of them? Let's talk in a couple days, and we'll go over some other stuff. But take care, everybody. Peace.